Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Cube Zero, and this movie came out in 2004, and it's currently on Amazon Prime if you want to watch it. And it's directed by Ernie Barbarash, and it's a prequel to Cube, not a sequel. And it's the third Cube film that was released and part of this franchise. And just like the title, Cube Zero, there's like zero things to take away from this film. I liked the opening death scene. That was kind of fun. The movie overall is a bit better made than the second movie. The walls aren't overexposed and bright white lights everywhere, and you can see everything clearly, and it looks more closely to the first movie, like the sets and like the design of the cube. It looks more like the first movie. Not as incompetently made as the second movie, but I didn't really like this movie at all. The villain of the movie was really over the top and was honestly my favorite part of the movie whenever he was on screen. He was pretty funny and just chewed up the scenery. He was entertaining for me, and what really didn't work for me was the music. I just found it to be very forgettable, and also, in terms of the movie structure, it's very much like the previous movies, but just kind of boring and didn't really add anything to what we already had. Like, you honestly just need to watch the first movie, and there's nothing else to take away from this universe. And anything that they try to explore or introduce to this franchise is only hinted at, but not really explored to make it interesting. Like, they just introduce a couple things, but they don't develop them at all. In some ways, that could be looked at as a positive because it doesn't ruin things by over-explaining things. But at the same time, it introduces so many different things at the same time without properly developing them that it just ruins everything. Like, you introduce too many things, it just ruins everything. I didn't like any of the characters in this movie, and this film also gives you an inside look as to like the people who are watching the people in the cube, and the film tries to make them interesting or compelling, but I didn't find them compelling. I didn't care about what was happening to them, and it just felt like filler, honestly. And the movie only really starts becoming a prequel to me story-wise until the end of the film. Like, that's where it ties everything together. I was like, oh, this character was actually the character from the first movie, except there was like nothing to tie it in. And it just felt thrown in and forced. And I was pretty bored throughout 75% of this movie, and the rest of it was kind of funny bad to me. Mostly the scenes just involving the villain. Like, he was pretty funny, like I've said before. And any science fiction elements that they tried to introduce in this film was just way too goofy for me. And some of it I don't even remember. The traps in this movie is just traps from the first movie. It's not like the traps in the second movie where it's just like, what are you doing? Or what am I supposed to be scared of? It's a bit more basic back to the first movie. But at the same time, there's nothing memorable that happens. With the exception of the opening death scene. I can't even remember any of the characters in terms of how they died, really, for the most part. And honestly, this movie just felt like a worse version of The Cabin in the Woods from 2012. That movie is what this movie tried to be, except way more entertaining, compelling, hilarious at points, and the satire elements actually worked to the film's strengths. Whereas this movie, no. It doesn't even try to be satirical. It plays itself pretty straight, and honestly, there's nothing really interesting going on story-wise with this movie. The special effects in this movie didn't really hold up. I could always tell when they were using special effects, but I'll say this, it was nice whenever this movie used practical effects. That was probably the best part of the effects, but aside from that, that's about it. And by the end of the day, nothing makes any sense. Like, I've tried to make sense of anything that was going on in this movie, and couldn't tell you what was going on, really, because there's a lot of points where I was either confused, bored, or maybe I just forgot something, and I was just too bored to pay attention to it. But I don't even know what else to say about this movie. It's just, you don't need to see it. It's just a big waste of time. Under 2 hours, thankfully, but why is it longer than the first movie? I don't even know. I never felt intimidated by the villains. I was never rooting for the heroes. I just wanted the movie to end, and eventually the film did end, but I was never satisfied when we got to the end. So skip this movie if you ever come across it. It's slightly better than Cube 2 Hypercube. Just slightly. There's a couple things that this movie does that's better than the second movie, but the only reason those things stand out to me is because the second movie exists. Like, if this movie existed on its own and Cube 2 Hypercube never existed, I probably wouldn't have anything positive to say about this movie, except for maybe the opening death scene, but that's about it. So with all that being said, I'm going to give Cube 0 a 1 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos as always. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below you thought of Cube 0 and my social media links. They will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Cube 2021, the remake from Japan, because it's already on Amazon Prime and I might as well watch it. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.